All right, so I want to show you how to trace out and add darts for designs that needs darts. For example, you want to create your panel dresses, the regular way we call the 6 pieces or 8 pieces, and you know those pieces clothes now, so but normally we call them the panels. All right, so if you want to create panel dresses, panel skirts, you need your darts. So I'm going to be showing you in this session how to create a waist dart for your basic block skirt. Back to our practical class. What I'm going to be doing is I'm taking my front basic block. Remember, there's no sewing allowance on it, and I'm just going to be pinning to the center or the edge of the new pattern. All right, so this is my front basic block. I'm going to be pinning to the edge. We want center front to align. So I'm going to pin this down and I will trace around it. Just take my tracing wheel and also trace out the hip line. Awesome. So once I have successfully done this, I will just remove my pins and I'll place our basic block aside, and we're going to be working on this new block. All right, so let me draw this out. I hope you can see clearly what we're doing. All right, so once we have done this, this is your center front. All right, now to create our waist dart, you want to use your apex. So our apex is for an adult, the regular words is nipple to nipple. All right, so we want to take the distance between the apex of our bust line, wherever it is. That's what we're going to be using for where that's what we're going to be using to determine where our dart is going to fall on the skirt. So for a bust 36, for example, the apex is usually 7 inches, and then half of 7 inches is 3.5. All right, it's 3.5, and then I'll just go in, placing my tape roll on the center front. I would mark 3.5. I'll mark 3.5. All right, once I have marked 3.5, on 3.5 I will come down 5.5. I'll come down by 5.5. All right, and on that point I want to be sure that it is still on 3.5. Yes, it is. Once I have done that, I'll draw a straight line connecting that. All right, this is where that line stops. On our waist, on this side of our waist, we'll mark 1/2 inch. From this point here, we'll go out by 1/2 inch, and then from this point we'll come in here by 1/2 inch. All right, once we have done that, we're going to connect this point and this point to this particular point here. And connect it to that point. Yeah, now we have created our waist dart. Now if we take this like this and place on fabric and cut, we have automatically reduced our waist measurement by 1 inch. So to accommodate for this dart line, what we're going to be doing is adding that 1 inch by our waist here. We'll add it here. You mark that, and we take our tape roll and connect it, our ruler, and we're going to connect it to that extra 1 inch we have added. Okay, Once we have done that, we're also going to take our curve ruler, remember the side we're using, and then we're blending it into our hip. We're blending it into our hip. So this now that we have done has accommodated for our darts that we have created for our skirt. So we're now going to call this our front basic block with that. All right, with that, you want to write your client's name. This is Victory, and then you want to show the direction at which you want to show direction. So we'll call this the grain line in which you're placing your fabric. All right, we'll call this our grain line. Okay, so this shows the direction on which or how you're going to place your fabric and your pattern on the fabric. So this is actually still a basic block, or a basic block with a dart. We're going to do the same thing for our back. All right, so I'm just going to move this away and then take my back pattern and do the same thing I just did. Do the same thing that I did. I'll pin down. All right, so we have successfully traced around our basic block with no darts, and now we'll do the same thing we did for our front. All right, so from our center back, remember this is our center back. Center back, this is our zip allowance. All right, so on our center back, we'll go in the same on the same measurement. From our center back, we'll mark 3.5, 3.5. For the back, we'll come down by 6 inches. We'll come here and make sure that point is on track. As you can see, it is not on track, so we're going to mark where 3.5 falls here, and then we'll connect with a straight line. Okay, once we've done this, the next thing we want to do is measure 1/2 inch on both sides of our dart points. All right, and connect the legs to the end of our darts. Connect the dart legs to the end of our dart. And then we'll make room for this dart here on our waistline. And we connect from a center back to that new point there, and then we take our curve ruler and connect back to our hip. Blend it into our hip line also, and there we have it. Sorry for that. Okay, and there we have it. All right, so we have successfully created our front. Successfully created our front and our back block with darts. All right, the first one we created was a dartless basic block, but this is our back basic block with darts. And then we have our green line showing us the direction and the positioning of our, alright, showing us how we're going to place on. So another thing you want to pay attention to is to create your notches. so that when we're sewing and want to join our front to our back, well, we have to align with where our notches is. So I'm just going to create a little notch here, like a triangular. There's no measurement. You can do this, or you can just create it close to. All right, so this place shows us where we're going to be connecting the front and the back. This helps you align your clothes accurately. You don't want the hip of the back going higher than the hip of the front. So this shows us that when we cut on our fabric, this angle shows us how to pin the sides together. All right, and there we have our front and our back blocks with that. Thank you for hanging out with me. In the next session, I'm going to be teaching you how to create a penciled skirt, a penciled skirt pattern, sorry. All right, thanks. See you soon.